I think like a standard startup story with its ups and downs. So if you stand away and take a step back and look at the entire picture, then the movement has been always kind of upwards and getting more traction, getting more customers. But of course, it's a roller coaster, and especially when you apply the emotional aspect to that. So one thing is to look at the facts and how the business is doing. The other thing is like as a founder, from the founder's perspective, how do you see the things?
You mentioned that you decided instead of fundraising, let's use another strategy. What do you mean with that?
One thing is that how important is the type of investor that you choose. I think what the mistake that a lot of early stage startups do is that they go after the easy money. But later on they realize that there's a difference between an investor and investor.
Okay, so you are a female founder-led company, and the core team you are leading are men.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you lead the company and lead men at the same time preserving your sanity as a woman?
So I think it's just the difference in the management style. I think the way that the things in our company work, we are very open and we are very open to communicate. And I think this is super important, because whenever there's some sort of friction in the company, also in my previous jobs, I often find out that it's because of lack of communication, that people don't talk to each other, they don't express their true feelings, and I think this kind of like openness and communication is really important. But to come back to your question about how I balance the woman in me and then being the kind of the boss, it is very hard, to tell you the truth.
Welcome to Inner Power Particles. I'm Farhad, the host of the podcast. We talk with entrepreneurs and leaders about how they have solved the challenges in their life or business and how it has transformed into new inner strength in them. And with this, we want to help that you also can look at your life or business situations and see how you can solve the challenges in them, and through that transform them also into new inner strengths, inner power particles in you. Enjoy the show. Hello, Kadi.
Hi, Farhad. How are you?
Thank you, fine. How are you?
I'm fine as well. Glad to be here.
I'm glad also that you came. We are not in an improvised cafe, but it's a real cafe here, which we have taken by storm for a while. I want to start with such a question. I know that you are Estonian lady and you live in Riga in Latvia, which is a neighbor country, but still not many Estonians live in Latvia. So how come? What's the backstory for it?
So I moved to Riga 3 years ago. Actually, yeah, exactly 3 years ago, basically 3 years and two weeks now. And the reason that I moved here is because of my partner. He is Danish, and we met in Estonia when he was on a mission in Estonia for the NATO. And naturally, he started to look possibilities to get closer to me, and he found a job in Latvia. In Adaši, you have the NATO military base, so he got employed there. And in the beginning, when he moved to Riga, we were just doing this kind of like long distance relationship where every weekend one of us was visiting each other. But at some point it got really tiring, and at the same time I was very also feeling burned out and tired with what I was doing as work. So my background is in the hotel industry. That was 2020. As you remember, the COVID pandemic hit, and for the hotel industry it meant it was really, really hard. We had to let a lot of people go. You know, when it started, suddenly I had to make 40 people redundant on one day. So it's not easy to be a manager. I was managing 2 hotels at the time, and in hospitality, if you don't have the customers to provide your services, it's kind of not the same. So anyway, I was feeling that now maybe it is the time that I move on, change something in my life, and also change the country of the residence. And
okay.
I moved to Latvia, and yeah, it's been great ever since. So, and as you mentioned before as well, Latvia and Estonia are so close to each other, so it's so fast to go to Tallinn. I'm going there today after the podcast recording, and it doesn't really feel that I'm in a different country, to be honest.
And many countries have these jokes and comparisons about their neighbors, and Swedes and their neighbor countries, and the Latvians about. So you as Estonian living in Latvia, what's your view on what Latvians are like, how they're different from Estonians? Any jokes that you know of which are true now based on your experience?
Well, when you're a child, Estonian child, so there are kind of like few things that you learn about Latvia. One word that every Estonian knows is saldajums.
Yes.
So, and another thing is that the Latvians allegedly have 6 toes.
Uh-huh.
So this is something that, and as a child, you actually believe that. So
Really?
yeah, of course you're a child, you're 5-6 years old. So if someone says that someone has 6 toes, you believe it.
Okay.
But yeah, I can assure Latvians do not have 6 toes, at least the majority of them. I think because the history of our two countries is so similar, I think we share a lot of, and we have very similar culture as well. Of course, there are some differences. For example, the way that we celebrate Liigo or jaanipäev, the midsummer day. I think there are some slight differences there and probably a few more things. But I think that the people are quite similar to each other. We are from the same culture space. Of course, the language is different.
What about the business acumen?
Well, to tell
when
you
you compare the founders,
the truth, then I am a founder that is, our company is Estonian. The whole team is based in Estonia, so I don't have so much like experience working with Latvians or Latvian founders, but
okay.
From the experience that I have got, I think I don't see any like huge differences, at least what comes to the business.
Okay.
Of course, people are slightly different, and maybe Latvians are a little bit more open because you're more in the south.
Okay.
But not so sure about that. Like I think we are quite similar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this you said about more to the south. It's like comparing -15 to -13.
Yeah, but it's true. It is always warmer here.
Yeah.
Like also, I didn't check the weather forecast this morning, but I'm sure in Tallinn it will be few degrees colder than here.
Usually it is so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you are a co-founder. Can you tell more about you are a co-founder of what company and for how long, and what is the company doing?
So I am the CEO and co-founder of HotelBuddy. HotelBuddy is a hotel technology startup company. And what we do is we provide a self-service solution for independent hotels and hotel groups. So we digitalize their customer journey, meaning that their guests can check in online with HotelBuddy, they can order different services, they can activate the mobile key, so when they arrive to the hotel, they don't have to go and stand in a queue for the reception to get a key card, but they can go straight to their room. We have a casting solution that we offer, so if you're a guest staying in a hotel that uses our casting solution, if you want to watch your Netflix or YouTube and cast it to the hotel TV, then we make it possible. And the guests can also check out using HotelBuddy.
So this means you are like a mix of software and hardware business?
Yes, so I would say that our hardware element is very lightweight. It is a small lightweight hardware. So it is a small microchip that we install to the existing door lock to make it come online, because let's say 99% of
Meaning
the hotel
you open
door locks.
Existing door lock and put something in and close it?
Yes, not me personally, but either our technicians or the hotel technicians will do that. So what we do essentially is that the hotels, although most of them have electronic door locks, these door locks are offline. So because of the IoT standard that we use, we bring that door lock to online. So it then becomes possible to open it online.
Yeah.
From our application.
Okay.
So this is the hardware. It is very cost efficient for the hotels. So this really makes us also different from the rest of the competition out there that normally do not provide the hardware, but do insist the hotels to change their existing door locks. And essentially that's much more expensive thing to do. And also most of the other technologies out there require an application download. So if you're a guest, let's say you go to Tallinn, you're staying there for a few nights in a hotel, you don't want to download their app really.
So in your case, I don't need to download anything.
No, it's web-based. We send you a link. You can access your room anytime. You just click on the link and your own dashboard opens where you can chat with the hotel, you can order services, you can manage your reservation, and you can open your room door.
How long have you been doing this, and how is it going?
So we started basically late 2020. I joined the company in the beginning of 2021 after I had moved to Riga and looked for another challenge to my life. And basically, that means nearly 3 years we have been active. The first year we were mainly developing the product. So we were quite, I would say, lucky with the funding. So we have received 2 governmental grants, almost in the amount of €500,000, which have helped us really to build the product, because we don't have a lot of competitors, especially offering such a comprehensive solution, because our solution is software, it's hardware, and it also requires very, very thorough integrations towards the hotel's existing systems. So it is not something that the hotels really have a choice. In the Baltics, we are basically the only one. We're the market leader here, obviously.
So you got good funding, and how has the journey been for you?
I think like a standard startup story with its ups and downs. So if you stand away and take a step back and look at the entire picture, then the movement has been always kind of upwards and getting more traction, getting more customers. But of course, it's a roller coaster, and especially when you apply the emotional aspect to that. So one thing is to look at the facts and how the business is doing. The other thing is as a founder, from the founder's perspective, how do you see the things?
And where are you now? If you can just give some metrics for context, like number of clients or revenue or something that gives us.
Right now we are still, I would say, early stage between pre-seed and seed. We raised pre-seed funding in 2022. Right now we are getting prepared to start fundraising for our seed round, hopefully in 2024. We did try to do it in 23, but we soon realized that the market is what it is currently, and we stopped the fundraising basically, and decided that okay, we are going to apply another strategy for now, as the times are as they are. And basically we have around 1,700 hotel rooms that we are servicing daily in the Baltic states. We are now also expanding outside to the Baltics. So we have 3 resellers, 1 reseller in Finland, 1 in UK, and also in Holland that we just recently started working with. So this is a new go-to-market strategy as well that we are testing right now. And MRR close to 10,000 per month. So we are making revenues, and as I mentioned, if you look at the facts, the numbers look good. If you look at the emotional side, it is very much hectic.
I'm already very curious to get into emotional side, but still before that I want to ask also, you mentioned that you decided instead of fundraising, let's use another strategy. What do you mean with that? Mm-hmm. And I want to acknowledge that the numbers you shared, you have accomplished a lot in 3 years, because your product is not an easy, because of the industry and because of the hardware component. So just to recognize that it's a lot you've done already.
So there are a few things that we realized. One thing is that how important is the type of investor that you choose. I think the mistake that a lot of early stage startups do is that they go after the easy money. But later on they realize that there's a difference between an investor and investor. So I would encourage always, if you can, to raise the smart money. Bring strategic investors to your cap table who provide you so much more than just the money. So this was one reason. The other one was that we felt that the fundraising process took so much of our time. So as a CEO of the company, I was dealing with the fundraising, and I would say it took maybe 60% plus percent of my time. And this is the time that I'm losing, taking away from my customers, taking away from the business, from my team, and to build the product and to look for customers. This is what we should be doing, really, not searching after the investors. And we understood that your numbers are great. Investors simply are just, the climate is not what it was maybe a year ago. And we decided that instead of chasing the investors, chasing the money, we will slow down a bit. We will lean out the team or the operations, and we just survive on kind of a very little money that we are making from our customers. And of course, the money that you're getting from your customers is always the best kind of money.
Mm-hmm. So this actually puts you in such a position that you become a company that investors might chase after to invest in, because if you succeed with this strategy.
Yeah, right? And this is what we feel as well, that we look at our pipeline, we look at the potential, what is out there, and what is the purpose of going after some money that comes with a lower valuation, that's more expensive for us, giving away a piece of our company where maybe in 6 months our numbers are completely different, and it changes the scenery completely. And instead of like putting my efforts to chase the investors, I will chase the customers and make sure,
How many active co-founders are you?
We are three active co-founders.
Okay, you and who are the other people? Are they gentlemen or ladies?
They are 2 gentlemen, and they are both technical co-founders.
Okay.
So they bring the technical side while I take care of the business development and the commercial side.
Okay, so you are a female founder-led company, and you are the core team you are leading are men.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you lead the company and lead men at the same time preserving your sanity as a woman and your being as a woman? It's not turning into a male woman leader.
Yeah, I agree that women and men, of course, we are 2 different genders. There are biological differences. There are also mental, emotional differences. And I think women tend to lead a little bit differently than men. We are a little bit, maybe, I don't know if you can say that, but softer or more emphatic. So I think it's just the difference in the management style. I think the way that the things in our company work, we are very open, and we are very open to communicate. And I think this is super important, because whenever there's some sort of friction in the company, also in my previous jobs, I often find out that it's because of lack of communication, that people don't talk to each other, they don't express their true feelings. And I think this kind of like openness and communication is really important. But to come back to your question about how I balance the woman in me and then being the kind of the boss, it is very hard, to tell you the truth, because I often feel that when you are in the career mode, you are in kind of this masculine element. You are making decisions, you're running the company, I'm working mainly with men. It's not just my co-founders who are men, it's our customers are a very healthy mix. There tend to be a lot of women working in the hotel industry, but most of the investors, they are men. So, but that's something I'm not really actively thinking about. I'm not like sitting with you and thinking, oh, he's a guy, like you're just a person, and this is my take on things. But yeah, like when it comes to the domestic life, obviously us as women, I think we often put like a lot of not challenges, but like a lot of like set very high expectations and goals to ourselves. That now when I stop working, mainly in Riga, I work from home office. So at the end of the working day, I have to do this kind of switch from the businesswoman to the nice girlfriend who has maybe made the dinner and cleaned everything and become this kind of housewife. And it doesn't really work in this way. It's so I'm having a little bit of challenge with this side.
What I have observed talking with the female founders, that it is in most cases there is this question present, meaning how to lead the company not by trying to imitate how men would do it, but by having your own female style of doing it, so that it doesn't change you as a personality closer to men. And it's an open question, but it's an important question. Because of course, if you look only on the success side, yes, you can succeed by whatever approach you take, but if you take the life holistically, then we want to stay true to who we are instead of turning into someone who we are not.
Exactly. And I think this is really, really true. Also, for example, when a lot of people struggle with going to the stage and kind of presenting something or delivering a presentation. And I think also whenever you are just the way that you are, you don't have to play a role. Then you get kind of the best reactions from the people because you are you, just be you. And also when you are managing a team of people, just be you. Don't try to be someone else.
You know, yes, but this is easier said than done for some people, and this doesn't have to do anything with gender anymore, but it's more with some earlier experiences. For example, for me it has been very hard to come on stage because I have experienced bullying, and then I always had this fear that I come on stage, I'm exposed to a group of people, they silently will be thinking, oh, he's stupid or whatnot. So any type of bullying, because even, I don't know, if someone comes in front of a class and reads a poem and then the teacher says, what was this like? That's also bullying actually, and then this remains for quite a long, and this can impact.
Actually, this kind of fear of going to the stage and publicly presenting yourself is very common, and this is the number one fear amongst all of us. And it actually goes back very, very deep in historically, because when we used to be in old times, when people used to live in kind of groups, basically the matter of your survival was connected to the way that that you presented yourself to the others. So basically,
to belong to the group.
Yeah, if you didn't belong to the group, then you would become an outcast, and your survival chances would be down to a minimum. So this is basically a very prehistoric fear that is in all of us genetically. So, but I have found that the easiest way to tackle that is that you just go out there, you prove yourself that actually nothing goes wrong, and the more you do it, the easier it gets.
For you, yeah?
For me personally, because I have also fought a lot with stage fright, and because of the work that I'm doing now, I have to quite often go to the stage and present and put myself out there. And of course, the other part is preparation. When you are well prepared, when what you're going to talk about, it also helps to take the edge off.
Yeah, you strike me as a person who appears very at home on stage or in public appearances. I've had in past experiences when I come off from stage and then my girlfriend asks me, so how was it? I say, kind of good, but I felt like super anxious. She says, oh, it wasn't visible. I didn't see it at all.
People don't see what goes on inside of you. Yes. I also, often my knees are shaking or whatever, but the other people don't see it.
But what has helped you? So if you say this used to be a challenge for you, so how did you approach it?
Well, I faced the fear. I just went out from my comfort zone. I still went on to the stage. I prepped myself. So I think the preparation is actually the biggest thing, because you are well prepared what you're going to talk about. You have rehearsed your speech or your presentation. I think this always helps, because the worst thing is to go on a stage and if you haven't prepared well, and then you kind of freeze or something like that and you don't even know what to say. So yeah, I think preparation is the key. And the other thing is also the more times you do it, then each time you do it, your brain kind of gets the message, okay, I have done it, so that means I can do it again. It's the same thing when I started running a few years ago. I hated running at first, and I thought I'm never going to be able to run more than 1K. And then I just went out there and I did 10K at once. And then I proved myself that I am able to do it. And then I did it again and again. And last year I did 2 half marathons. So this 1K has become 20 plus. So
So basically,
possible.
it's one key is just to start doing it and to take these opportunities to go on stage
To
and
go
see
out.
that you don't die.
Yeah, to go out from your comfort zone. I think this is like very important.
I remember two pieces that have helped me in this journey of the stage fright. One was that I don't remember who, I would like to credit him, but I forgot. He gave me advice that you imagine that there's in front of you a green square, and in this green square there's all the peace and harmony, that maximum that can exist for you. I'm like, yeah, I can imagine it, okay. And then he says, now before going on the stage, you imagine that this green square is on the stage where you have to stand, and you go in it and you need to feel this energy. Somehow it worked for me. And other thing, it somehow came just to me that before I go to stage, I need to remind that I'm not going to get anything. I'm going only to give from my heart the message that I want to tell. But this then creates a hook that the message really needs to be such that I'm giving something instead of, I don't know, trying to get something. So if I come on the stage with the goal that I depend if you will, I don't know, buy something later or invest or whatnot, this already sets up for this fear. So this have been my experiences.
Breathing also helps. So I have actually taken some courses about the public speaking, and they are also teaching you how to breathe, like this box breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold it in, then breathe out.
This like also. This. Yeah. Have you tried like also this, that you put a hand on your heart before going on stage?
I personally haven't.
I've tried this also. I've done this because when I feel sometimes it's a really big stage where I need to come on and I hear my heart like boom, 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 boom. You put like this, take some 3 breaths in, out, and okay, it's now calmer and just go on.
And one thing is kind of also controversial, but you can try to enjoy that fear or kind of like the adrenaline rush that you're getting. Just kind of like change the way that you perceive it instead of like being kind of, oh no, I'm afraid now, I'm afraid now, I'm gonna screw up. No, enjoy it. This adrenaline rush, that's not something that you get every day.
And also to calm down, this then I remember Alexander Tonnesson once told me about some professor or business leader in his 60s who was leading a company of thousands of people, so with long-term good experience, and this guy had told that he still feels inferior when he's doing the job. So some things don't pass, but like, okay, just ignore it and go with it.
I guess I think one thing is that I don't think that I'm really less scared. I still feel anxious, but you just learn you get used to that.
Yeah.
Kind of, and you know how to manage that stress response that your body is creating.
Yeah, so basically if someone's listening who has the stage fright and trying to stay away from stage, my message is do the opposite, go on stage, but not to get acceptance from the audience, but to give something, to give a message that is important for you. Okay, now I feel is the time to get to this other topic which you mentioned a couple of times already, the emotional, the personal experience side of the journey that you've been through. But to understand that also, we need to understand the context in which you've been the past 3 years while building the startup. Now it's 10K MRR, before that you had the grant. I assume something has been hard for you. Could you share what has been hard for you in this journey?
Oh, there's a lot of things, I think. I think one kind of obstacle or the challenge that I have been personally, and I'm still partially dealing with that, is that I used to kind of see that the company is kind of like, it's me. I put the equal mark between myself and the company.
Yeah.
So if the company wasn't doing well, it was all because of me, and then I wasn't doing well. So, and that was super unhealthy. And I think this is where it all started. I mentioned before we started recording that I have been dealing with chronic stress, anxiety, sleep disorders for more than, I think by now it's kind of for 2 years. And I think this is what makes it somewhat like difficult to be like a startup founder when you compare it to just like a corporate employee who doesn't have to worry about if they are able to afford to pay the salaries next month, or how to find the investors, or how to find the new customers. I think there has been, a lot of challenges from the beginning, like when we launched, and it was still like kind of deep COVID time. And the hotels, although they were interested in our solution, but they were lacking customers themselves. A lot of hotels were still closed. Yeah. So of course that meant our progress was much more slower than we had anticipated. That in return created this kind of like situation that it was very, very hard to get the money from investors. Like when we started to fundraise for our pre-seed round, I think it took us definitely more than, I would say it took us maybe 8 months to get the round together. And although there was kind of a lot of interest, people very well understand what we do and they understand the benefits, but then they're looking at your traction metrics and like, okay, but I don't know, it could be better and so on. And then you just feel like a failure. Okay, I'm not able to do this, I'm not able to show them, I'm not able to convince them. And as a beginner founder, really like each no that the investor gave us was like just, I took it so personally, which I shouldn't have, because this is normal. You will get mostly no's from the investors. And of course, by now I have learned it. But yeah, coming from a corporate space, I had really no kind of, I got this kind of very harsh introduction to the startup space, which works completely differently. And I think what I was kind of also lacking back then was the resources, where to find the information. I think right now it's getting much, much better. You know, even you're doing this podcast, interviewing the founders. And I think as a beginner startup, as a beginner entrepreneur, it's very, very useful resources to listen to and hear the other people's stories and understand that it's not just like what you read from the glossy papers, because people tend to talk only about the success stories. But there's also a lot of struggles behind the success that often doesn't get published. And then you just think, okay, like my path is not like that. They just raised 4 million pre-seed rounds. You know, what am I doing wrong? Why cannot I get the similar traction? And then you just create very kind of like false goals and expectations to yourself.
It's like, for every news piece that some good round happened, there are 99 other stories which are not like that. Yeah. So it means the actual reality is more like these stories which don't get published rather than those that get published.
Yeah, exactly.
But so you were experiencing slow traction, investors saying no for 8 months. What was happening with the company and personal finances meanwhile?
So I think we are in a little bit of a lucky situation with our co-founders team, that all of us have the possibilities to kind of bootstrap. So for the entire history of this company, which is 3 years, 2 years, I haven't taken any salary from the company. 1 year I took salary because I have the possibility to live like this, then this is a possibility. Also? And the other co-founders as well. So I think this is quite unique, and this is not very, very common what happens in the startups. And I think this is also the reason why we have been able to get through this kind of difficult, the funding, what is happening right now, that we ran out of the funding, and we are still going on and we are still going strong. So.
But actually it's not so atypical, because if someone works in a corporate job, you still can make some savings, so that after you quit it, you start a startup for some year, let's say. You can sustain, and then within that year, if the traction is at least something, then you can get some accelerator, some accelerator, some grants, and get another year together. And then with 2 years, I think if the startup is still on zero level after 2 years, something is wrong already, unless it's deep tech then.
Yeah. Well, I think, every story is so different. And I think, like, when you believe it inside of you, that, this is going to work, it doesn't matter. You don't have to compare yourself, like, with another startup or with, okay, but they did this and they are doing like that. No, it's a completely different story, and you don't know.
So, but then if we look that you say that financially it wasn't a problem, or it was, you just survived it, so how was it? Meaning, I'm trying to understand from the challenge perspective, what was causing you distress? So one is the slow traction, investors saying no, company cannot pay salary, did you feel it as a problem, or it was just, okay, no salary, don't care?
It wasn't such a big part, but of course it was. I was coming from a corporate, quite high-paying job, so obviously I had to go down in my life kind of standards and
so you
know,
also
what is
lowered
possible.
your life standards.
Yes, yeah, I would say so. But that, and of course that created some stress. But I think the stress that it was more related to the goals that I had set for myself, and also those kind of like that I was looking too much out there and looking for this external validation.
Comparing, you mean?
Yeah, comparing myself to the others, and like when you are in Estonia, the startup space is quite advanced. There's a lot of news sites, you read about them, you read about the success stories. I followed like all the podcasts that were out there, and I was just like, oh no, but HotelBuddy is not doing like them. Oh, that means I'm a failure. I cannot do it. Like, and then like I was feeding myself with those negative thoughts, and I just was like in that kind of spiral. And at the same time, I still didn't show it out. I think like that was happening inside of me, in my head at 3 a.m. at night, thinking those thoughts. And then going out there and smiling, and people would never think, they would just think, oh, you guys are doing good and you are confident and so on. But you never know what goes on in people's heads, actually.
Actually, this is what you highlighted, important thing, because you had, in a way, a plan in your head how things should happen. And then you face the reality, which is different from the plan, and you almost as if felt ashamed that it is so.
Yeah, and actually also being in the startup space, like it's also not realistic that you grow every year 10x, you know, and it is normal to grow in a slower tempo. But like in the beginning, I didn't realize that. I thought, okay, now I have gotten the money from the investors, and I was so worried about that. I was like, oh, these investors gave the money to me. I must make sure that they get enough out of that. So it was just, it's actually like crazy to think about the way that I was thinking. And of course, you need to be respectful. You shouldn't never like burn the money, so to say, and use it kind of purposefully. But I think also the investors, especially the ones who are investing in the startup space, they understand the risks that they are taking.
But here's actually one problem that I've noticed, that those founders with whom I've talked in podcast and also privately, those who have achieved good revenue numbers measurable in millions, all of them say that it's like 7 to 10 years timeline. You won't get there before. But the investors' timeline is not 10 years, especially VCs. Like it's usually 5 to 7 years is the timeline of the fund. But if you get the round when they have, let's say, 4 years left, this means already after 3-4 years there's expectation that where are the good numbers?
Yeah. So. And this was something that I also perceived. I think it was more in my head than it was actually coming from the investors. But obviously the investors are, especially the VCs and this type of more institutional investors, let's say. They are also managing someone else's money, and they have to make the returns on their funds. Yeah. So obviously they are much more careful where to invest their money, and obviously if the results are not what they expected, sometimes you can feel it as a founder.
So speaking of feelings, these facts that you've experienced, and then also your perception of the plan versus reality, you already mentioned that you had sleep problems and anxiety. Can you tell more about what were you experiencing inside? How was it?
I think what I went through was really, I would call it chronic stress disorder, maybe. So like basically everything caused anxiety in me. Like I was constantly just in my head thinking about like... Worrying about stuff, you know, when we had raised the money, I couldn't be happy about it. I was just worrying that now we're gonna run out of the money. And to be honest, I have been sleeping much better now when we really don't have so much money on our bank account than when we had all that money. And it was so unhealthy, really, to be in this. But I guess maybe it was a needed experience to me, because in the startup space, it's not going to be that, okay, now we're going to raise this funding and everything is going to be okay. No, you will always face challenges and problems, and you will have to learn how to deal with this, you know.
So how did you learn to deal with it? Did you?
I think I'm still on that journey, but what I have started to really put more attention to is my well-being, my mental and physical well-being. I also understood that it needs to be balanced, that I can easily, especially working from home office, you can just forget yourself behind the computer and work 10, 12 plus hours every day, but it is not like sustainable long term. And our bodies are also not meant to be just sitting down behind the computer. You need to go out, you need to move yourself, you need to exercise. So this has helped me personally, getting my exercise, especially getting up early in the morning, having your exercise done first thing in a day, that already sets you up for kind of success, and you feel so much better about the day. And also kind of like understanding and not blaming myself for everything, but trying to be much more kind on myself, because oftentimes we are our own worst enemies. So it's not like someone else externally telling me that, oh, you're doing a poor job and it's all your fault. It's me, myself, telling myself. So of course, that has been kind of like a journey to me, and yeah, then.
But how are you kind? If someone now, okay, I want to be kind to myself, what do I do, or how does it happen?
No, it's like all those things. For example, I wake up in the morning, I look into the mirror, and I'm not happy with the way I look. And I'm like telling to myself, to my reflection, oh, you look bad, you look so tired, your skin is so saggy, or you're so fat, why don't you lose weight? And then think about, would you ever say those things to your loved one? That he or she wakes up and then you just tell them, oh, you look so old and fat and something like that. Or another thing that has helped me, now when you look into the mirror, picture yourself as a kid when you were 5 years old, 7 years old. That kid would look at you and be so proud of you where you are now. And now try to imagine yourself saying to that kid, you're stupid, you know, you're ugly, stuff like that. It hurts you inside. And this is what we are all the time doing to ourselves. So this has been something that personally I have been dealing with a lot. And whenever I catch myself on that thought, then I'm like, no, be kind to yourself and be proud of what you have achieved. And one big thing that I have started to also put more focus on is to being grateful about the things. To say, do not look at only the negative things, but look outside of you. What are the things that make you happy? So
I still want to probe this one a bit deeper about this being kind to yourself. I hope also who are watching or listening understand the importance of this topic, because it is not easy to do what you said you're doing. It's like, I remember when some 5 years ago I had depression. I was depressed, I have a call with my mother, we are talking, and then she didn't say in these words, but the message was like, stop being depressed, don't be depressed, like, and I'm answering to her, listen, mother, you are telling me like similar thing as if I would be going on a seaside and then there's a whale on the shore and it's dying, and I'm like, whale, go back in the water, like, why are you dying here? But it can't. So if someone like is in this mode that something happens and you, oh, dump me, oh, how could I be so stupid, oh, you idiot, but like, yes, to yourself, what's this trigger? How can you switch from this negative self-talk to the positive self-talk?
I think all of us can feel compassion when something happens to your friends or a loved one, something bad. You feel compassionate towards them. I think that's the similar emotion that we also feel towards ourselves. So I think if you do that kind of exercise, when you catch yourself in a negative self-talk, and then let's say you're looking into the mirror, and now, or maybe not, but just try to imagine yourself at the age of 7 or as a child, and then saying all these things to her, I think it sparks some sort of compassion in you. So
this is good one, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I think it's not that hard if you realize that and the damage that you are doing. I mean, there are so many of those experiments done with a glass of water when it gets frozen, that you say like negative stuff to the water bottle, and then you take another water bottle and you say positive stuff to that, and then you freeze them and you see the structure of the crystals is completely different. Or with the plants, there was a experiment done in a school that took like 3 plants, the children, and then the one plant, and the children were supposed to tell it like bad stuff, like you are such little plant, you can never grow big, and you look ugly, and you bad stuff to the plant. Then there was a second plant, and like they didn't say anything to the plant, and there was a third one, oh, you're so beautiful, green, big plant with luscious leaves. And actually what the result was, the smallest plant actually grew really like little, didn't have the energy to grow big. The medium plant was just normal, and the one that got the most praise grew like really big and luscious leaves. So words and thoughts are energy, and like maybe for some of us it might sound stupid, but you can try to run this experiment on your own. Like try to start your day with saying something nice to you and think.
Exactly. And I want to add that also, maybe it sounds weird, but I know that for some people it's necessary to hear it. You may do it. You may stop saying bad things to yourself, and you may start saying good things.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong in it. Because everyone makes mistakes, and if you make a mistake, it means that you made a mistake. It doesn't mean you are stupid. There's no person in the world who is not making mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you also mentioned sleep, sleep problems.
Yeah.
Is it still present, and what are you doing about it?
Somewhat present. So what I have been also beginning to understand that, well, my sleep disorders are in correlation with the cortisol levels. So most probably my body is like producing too much cortisol, the stress hormone. So that kind of puts you in the flight or fight kind of response. Your body all the time thinks, okay, now something is going to happen, something is wrong. And this is like, the indication is that I'm normally waking up at 3 a.m. in the evening. So I go to sleep, I fall asleep quite easily, but then 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. the sleep is suddenly gone, and then I'm just looking at the ceiling and thinking about like really stupid work stuff that I'm never even spending much time in my waking life. But at the nighttime, you're just like, oh. So personally, what has been very helpful for me is reducing the screen time in the evening, blue light. So instead reading a book, exercising. Again, if you get enough exercise and kind of like physical movement during the day, it aids to a better sleep. And also I've started to take some supplements. So I'm taking magnesium, and I'm taking a supplement called ashwagandha that is also allegedly helps to bring down the cortisol levels. And I have felt very, very kind of good effects with those supplements. I'm sometimes also taking melatonin before going to bed, but I'm trying not to go like overboard with this, because I'm actually like, I cannot say I'm like against these kind of supplements, but I don't want to take anything or go out of balance with anything, because melatonin is something that your body produces. And if I take it like every night, like on a regular basis, then at some point your body will kind of stop producing that. So I don't want to be addicted to any of these supplements.
Yeah, melatonin is for short-term use, definitely. It helps very well, but it shouldn't be used in the mid-term and long-term. I can relate to what you said about this 3 a.m., 4 a.m. waking up. I went through Lyme's disease, and the symptoms caused also this, that I couldn't sleep properly. I was also waking up 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And then till some 6-ish, I was semi-awake, and brain was torturing with some stupid thoughts. And what it caused me to do was also to study the various supplements, pros and cons of them, like really lots of them. And I was using, and still I'm using some of them, but what's the encouragement that I got out of it completely. In 6 months it got from very bad to mediocre, and in the next 6 months it got to normal, and then in plus half a year it got back to good. So the sleep can be repaired, and it's very important to repair it. But also some things, I don't know if you are doing it, I installed this dark room that when I sleep it's completely black, there's no light coming in, and I also see it, and I can't still explain it, but when I observe it when I travel in Airbnbs, sometimes in some places I can't sleep at all, and it's not because of sound or light, but two things. One is the tangible, which is the mattress. For me it has to be hard, not soft. But the other, I don't know, it's some mysticism. I even told to my girlfriend that maybe, I was in Airbnb, didn't sleep at all, maybe someone got killed there a few days ago, or don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm traveling a lot as well and sleeping in different places. For me, it's the pillow. If the pillow is too high or too large, I cannot sleep. So at some point I was even traveling with my own pillow.
Okay.
But now I'm trying to I already I'm often traveling to Tallinn and staying in different hotels. So I already know which hotels have the pillows that I like.
Yeah.
So it is a thing. And the dark room, I completely agree. The quiet room, no mirrors. Mirrors are also affecting, some people say that they are reflecting back the energy. And of course there are theories that there's, that the mirrors are some sort of portals and that they kind of save the energy and save the history. So I don't know. I also have, and currently in my bedroom, I have 2 mirrors, and I also feel that we moved kind of 6 months ago. And I also feel that whenever I'm sleeping in my bedroom in Riga, I'm getting less sleep and I'm more tired, and my boyfriend is feeling the same thing. So we suspect it might be because of the mirrors.
I don't know haven't heard these theories, but I intuitively always have felt that I don't like mirrors in the bedroom. So something there is. And also this more concerns the Airbnbs where I'm staying. If in the bedroom there's sometimes they put these cheap thingies with slogans on the wall, instead of paintings. And if I look at it and I feel I don't like it, I move it away from the room while I'm staying there.
Now I remember there was one hotel in Pärnu that I stayed in, and they have those huge photo of the people, and those people are dead by now, and they were just looking you into the eyes. And I just remember oh yeah.
So what did you do? Did you cover it?
No, it's the entire wall behind your bed. So I just try to kind of say to myself, it's nothing, it's just a photo, but it is not, I guess if you're Airbnb or a hotel, you should really think about which kind of photos you're putting into the hotel rooms.
Okay. Looking at the past, let's take a year period. What are some key changes in yourself that you observed that you've gone through?
Yeah, I think what we talked about before, this kind of negative self-talk, there's definitely less of that. I realize that if the business is not doing well, it's not always my fault, and I'm not putting myself down for it. I just realize these are the facts. Okay, just look at the things kind of further away and try to be less emotional about them, because oftentimes when we are caught on the things, or if you have an argument with someone, you're so heated, you're so emotional, but then when you just take a step back and look at it from the eyes of a third person, it kind of seems foolish. What's the point of?
But there's another thing. You said business not doing well. Yes. Imagine if your business was growing trees. So you plant the trees, and then you come next spring. Oh, they're so small.
Yeah.
Business is not doing well.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say this because you would know that it will take
Takes
50
time.
years for them to grow.
Yeah, exactly. And setting realistic expectations, I think, is one thing that would be a healthy thing to do as well.
Okay. What else? What else has changed for you? How you approach things?
I think also that there is not just one way of doing things. Like when we talk about financing, it's just not the investor money. And also I think startups should consider alternative ways. The best thing is of course getting the money from your customers, But what if you don't have the customers yet? Or like in the times when it is not so easy to get that kind of institutional investor money, what are the other opportunities? Are there possibility maybe for your company to get a loan or a mezzanine? Or I think we should always take a broader look. Or maybe do we need to have like a team of 10 developers? Maybe we can also cut down a little bit and bring our costs down and maybe grow a little bit slower, but it is possible, it is doable. So that there are always in life more than just one option. And you should think about, and I think also that this kind of, I'm actually happy that we didn't raise last year. Because I think now I'm also beginning to understand like how important it is really to find the right investor who is going to be for you there long term, who understands your business, and yeah, not just kind of going with the flow or just going because everyone else is doing that.
Can you describe what is like the investor for you, whom you would like to have joining you?
Well, obviously it would be helpful if they had some sort of understanding or experience or even the background in the hotel or travel industry, because there the connections really matter, and also that they understand the kind of the specifics of the industry.
And on human side, the person, the people behind the fund are like, so you can call them, oh, this is my kind of people.
That's a good question. I mean, yeah, I think there's always like the importance, like how is the connection between two people? Like with some people you just connect more easily than with others. I think it's very natural, you know, it's not like everyone, that you can be working with the same level with everyone. It's not possible ever.
Yeah.
So I think it's the personal connection that you get with the investor. I would like an investor who is also kind of hands-on with the portfolio and giving a little bit more time to each startup than just...
But hands-on as support, not as control.
Exactly, yeah, supporting, yeah, not controlling, but yeah, someone that you can lean on to help you, to, yeah, so I'm sure there are these kind of investors out there. And
it's very important to not ignore feeling that there are some red flags when someone is talking with investors. If you feel like something is off, not to proceed, because you can fire employee. It's very hard to fire investor. It's like super hard.
Yeah, you have to buy them out.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that is true, and this actually is also one takeaway from last year for me personally. Whenever you feel, also we did a couple of hiring mistakes. Yeah. And I felt in the beginning already that there is something off about this person or this relationship, but I couldn't put like anything on that. I felt something is wrong. And as it later appeared, you know, it didn't work out with those people. So I think you have to like also, you should never, So yeah, I think if you have like a bad feeling, there's something in your gut, it is, you should listen to that. Or you should not at least ignore it.
Women are generally better at having connection with this intuition and the feeling side.
Maybe women are not necessarily better, but maybe we just are better at realizing that there is something, or like
listening to and
believing in that, or kind of accepting that, okay, yeah.
And being mentor for founders and leaders on both men and women, I know that especially men ask this question, okay, I realize that to use my intuition is super important, but how to? So what is it, this, how do I use it? So your answer to this question would be?
I think it's again simple. If you get the feeling, right? If you meet with a new person, like if you want it or not, you are getting some sort of feelings about them. Or when you enter a new place, you instantly feel the energy. And if there's something off about that person or that kind of place, I think you just feel it inside. There's something, you feel that this is not quite right. Then you should try to learn to listen to that.
This is it, this is the intuition. You don't need to then find logical arguments why something is off. It's just off at the moment it feels so.
Yeah.
let's not finish on off topic. Turn to some on topic.
Yeah.
What would be your takeaway or sharing with female founders? So you've done already quite a lot of work, 3+ years, nice traction, maybe slower than you would want to, but for me it looks nice traction. For someone starting out or in a similar path, going through struggles, any takeaways, advice?
Again, like I never look at it like a female founder. I just look at it, it's a founder. But of course, there's a lot of bias and a lot of stigma, which maybe I'm a little bit also ignorant myself. I'm often maybe not thinking about that, how do the male investors perceive me, because I just don't have it in my head at all. But
this is also important, by the way, not to have it in the head at all.
Yeah, but I think maybe some females do feel it better, or they are more aware of that, or maybe it's something also that is in their heads. I don't know, because I have been working on kind of management positions from the age of 22, so more than 12 years by now. So I am quite kind of used to that, running the things and working with men around me or other leaders, I don't know. So I don't know. Again, like, just be who you are and don't try to be someone else. Don't try to be a man, or like because you think this is the way that other people would prefer you to be. Yeah.
Thanks. I actually also remembered one topic which you mentioned for a moment, and I feel it would be valuable to still go in it a bit. This topic which you said that I am not my company. This is not the same.
Yeah.
Can you open it up a bit? Because I feel it's important.
So yeah, basically this goes back to the fact that whenever the company doesn't do as well as you would like it to do, then I was so miserable. Something went wrong. Investors said no, or we didn't get that customer, or there was a bad day. And then it often just became crossed over. My working day ended, but then I was still carrying all that weight in the evening, when I should be just relaxing, spending some time with my friends or with my boyfriend. I was carrying that weight, and even to my dreams, or to the bedroom, where I'm just waking up and constantly thinking about like what went wrong and what else can go wrong if I do this or that, and I think it's just very unhealthy way of seeing things. And yeah, understanding that you cannot control everything. I think it also maybe is something to do with, and I think the anxiety and this kind of like stress disorder is often related to this kind of feeling that you need to control the life. Maybe it's due to a past trauma, and then you just feel like, okay, when I have everything under my control, then the bad things cannot happen to me. So maybe it's something to do with that, but again, this is not very healthy, and the business is not you, and this is normal that things take time, and it's also normal that sometimes the startups fail, and that's
most cases they fail.
Yeah, that's the statistics, right? So if you're not doing well, and everyone's journey is different, maybe your startup number 1 and number 2 and maybe number 3 are meant to fail, so then based on those experiences, you can go and create something that will not fail. So you never know what is the story, and you never kind of see over the hill what is ahead of you. But I think there also you should trust the feeling. So if you feel that, okay, maybe the things are not going the way you would like them to go, but you still feel it inside, okay, I have to continue with this no matter what, then you have to continue with this.
Here I would want to add that here it would be beneficial to define a personal formula of success. What is success for you, in such a way that the success for you does not depend if the company will be successful. And this sounds simple, but it is not. What helped me was one mentor from our network. She was Anu Martinson. She once asked me when I was speaking, okay, but what if this fails? Speaking of company, and she asked, okay, but what will happen with Farhad then? Oh no, she asked, but what will Farhad do then? And first I didn't understand, and okay, I understood. My life goes on. So And then I somehow saw like a road through, and the company is just like, it's a town. The road is passing by.
Yeah.
So not to attach that you are this town, but you are this road.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you again try to take a step back and look at the situation from a third perspective, or after 20 years, how significant was this time of your life? Or it's just a small detail of a much bigger picture of your life. So
Zooming out.
Yeah, this has been tremendously helpful for me. And also whenever you are kind of emotional about something, or feeling kind of agitated, or like someone says something, or you're not happy with this or that, just kind of take a step back and think, okay, is it really worth of me now going emotional or getting angry or getting sad about that? No, it's like insignificant kind of happening in my life.
But by the way, the zooming out is very hard to do from the place physically where you work, like the office or the home. For zooming out, I use and I recommend to move someplace else, to another town, go to some mountain or forest. And when zooming out, then to ask a question, I have my own this success and life success formula and my own life strategy or vision, and this company is part of it. It's a tool. It's not that the company is ultimate everything and I'm a tool for the company, but it's opposite. And then you can feel the shift. And by the way, then also people will start to feel less needy or clingy towards investors also, because then my life will go on no matter what, and this set's already different. And it's good for investors also, because what I see that when founders prioritize investors, what they don't prioritize then is customers.
Yeah, their own business.
Yes, and this eventually leads, it's very easy to foresee where. Okay, it was nice talking to you. Kadi, any final words?
Well, yeah, to all of the founders who might be watching this and are struggling right now, and maybe the things are not going the way that you would like them to go, then I think just, realize that you never know what the life has, kind of, what is waiting for you on the other side, kind of. And again, try to just zoom out and think, like, look at the bigger picture. And every path is unique. And maybe this is the path that you are on. You never know why you need to get those experiences that you are getting right now. And of course, and also trust your intuition, because if you really feel that, okay, this is not the correct path, I'm doing something wrong, I don't like this, and your body is really saying no, then maybe it's also not the right way and you have to choose something else.
But there's a hook in this, what you said, because what people might be feeling dislike to is not the thing, but the traction of the thing, and you need to be able to discriminate between the two, because the traction of the thing might be just going in a natural manner. And to add to this what you said, that something can be waiting around the corner, I have such concept that for this something to be able to find me, I need to be findable and I need to be in motion. So you got to show up for something to happen.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's also like to do with this kind of law of attraction, or like being the energy that you want to attract. So if you're in kind of these low vibes and negative, you are kind of attracting negative stuff.
Yes.
Whereas when you go a little bit higher and you're positive and kind of setting yourself already out there and thinking about, okay, but how does it feel to be successful? And you will just feel the shift and you will see things will start to change for you.
I remember 20 years ago in a sales training, sales coach Mikos Timofeevs, he was telling how to handle objections. And he said, okay, there's objection which is called, it won't work out. Do you know how to handle it? You have to answer them, yes, it will not, definitely will not work out if you keep sitting on the couch and doing nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Okay, so do something.
Do something.
Show up.
Yeah, show up to yourself, to your 7-year-old yourself.
Okay, thank you, Kadi.
Thank you.
Very nice conversation, thanks.